I'm an associate professor of English at the University of South Carolina, and I'm also the undergraduate director for the Women's and Gender Studies program. I'm originally from rural Arkansas. My dad's a farmer on the Mississippi Delta. I went to graduate school at the University of Texas in Austin, and then I came to the University of South Carolina in 1994. And I've been here since then. I got an email from her asking me if I would want to be involved with a new arts magazine, specifically to work with literary arts. And early on she made a commitment to include poetry in every issue. And I think, you know, I really value the ways that Cindy emphasizes all the arts. I think a lot of times if we think about dance, we might think about theater. If we think about visual arts, we might think about sculpture, but the literary arts get left out, or they're in their own little group, their own little space, and I like how she's making everyone part of this. I've always been a writer, and even when I was going through graduate school as an academic, doing academic research, all my elective classes were always creative writing classes of some kind, and I've always been really interested in the arts. I mean, Austin had a great art scene. I always went to the South by Southwest Music Festival. They had a great gallery scene as well, so I've always been really interested in all kinds of arts. Well, the first thing I do is I talk with Cindy about possible books and book reviews. So we focus primarily on books by or about South Carolina. We try to find reviewers in the Midlands area. And then the second thing is we print 2 to 3 poems every issue. So I solicit or go through submissions of poems to decide what we're going to use each issue. Jasper always does a little feature called Jasper Notices. Jasper Takes Notice, and it's a young artist that we think is really up and coming and going to be really powerful or interesting someday. And most of the issues have focused on visual artists or dancers. This issue we have a literary artist, a poet who just graduated from University of South Carolina in the MFA program, who has just left for Colombia in South America on a Fulbright fellowship. Well, I guess I would say that I believe very deeply in 3 things, and one would be that the university should be part of the community. I hate the whole town-gown divide, and so for me it's really important that people who have expertise in the arts play a role in the local community. And I've been involved with a program we have at the University of South Carolina called Split P, which takes writers from our MFA program and places them in schools and in nursing homes and in different kind of community settings to do writing workshops. The second thing I believe in is the thing that Cindy, as editor, really believes in, is a kind of inter-arts collaboration, that we learn from one another, that dancers can learn from visual artists, that visual artists can learn from writers, that writers can learn from filmmakers, that there's a way in which that kind of inter-arts work makes us all better artists. And I guess the third thing I would say I really believe in, and this influences the way I select poems, is that I really think the arts should be involved in the culture, involved in the community. I mean, it's one thing to say our lives are filled with art. You know, we all say that our lives are filled with art. But it's another thing, I think, to think about the ways that art can not only comment on, but determine and reflect and inflect the ways we think about the world around us. And for example, in this issue, one of the poems we have is a poem about Trayvon Martin. So we have a literary artist commenting on a very specific contemporary political issue. And I think that in some ways, although I like all kinds of poetry, I like there's another poem in there that's just kind of crazy experimental. I like all kinds, but I'm particularly interested in art that comments on the culture.